Lily Jones skipped along the sidewalk of Pine Street, her colorful beads clicking together at the ends of her neat braids. Today was special. Mom had finally said Lily could walk to the corner shop all by herself. Just to get milk, her mom had said. Straight there and straight back. No talking to strangers. Lily was 10 years old and felt very grown up. She held the money tightly in her pocket as she walked. The shop was only 2 streets away from their little house. She could see it just ahead. A police car drove slowly down the street. Lily didn't pay much attention until it stopped right beside her. The window rolled down and a man with a stern face looked out at her. "Where are you going, young lady?" asked Officer Williams. His eyes narrowed. "To the shop for milk, sir," Lily answered politely, just as her mom had taught her. Officer Williams got out of his car. He was very tall. Lily had to look up to see his face. "There was a theft at this shop earlier. The person was about your height, wearing similar clothes," he said. Lily felt confused. "But sir, I haven't been to the shop yet today." Mrs. Baker, from the house nearby, came out to her garden fence. She watched with a worried look on her face as Officer Williams told Lily to empty her pockets. "I just have money from my mom for milk," Lily said, her voice starting to shake as she showed the coins. More people were stopping to watch now. A man across the street took out his phone and began filming. "Put your hands behind your back," Officer Williams ordered. "But I didn't do anything wrong," Lily said, tears starting to form in her eyes. Officer Williams didn't listen. He took out his handcuffs. The small crowd of people grew upset. "She's just a child," someone called out. "This isn't right," said another. Mrs. Baker rushed inside her house. She knew Lily's mom well. They had been neighbors for years. She quickly made a phone call. Across town, in a tall office building, Helen Jones was in a meeting when her phone buzzed. She looked down at the text from her neighbor. "Lily in trouble, police, corner shop, come quick." Helen stood up so fast her chair nearly fell over. "I have to go," she told her boss. "Family emergency." She grabbed her bag, which held her FBI badge and ID card. Helen was not just any mom. She was a senior FBI agent with 15 years of experience. She ran to her car and drove faster than she should have. When Helen reached Pine Street, she saw her daughter in handcuffs, crying. The small crowd had grown larger, with many people filming and arguing with Officer Williams. Helen parked her car and walked calmly toward them, though inside she felt a storm of anger. She took out her FBI badge as she approached. "Officer," she said in a voice that made everyone turn to look. "I'm Senior Agent Helen Jones, FBI. That is my daughter you've handcuffed. Release her immediately." Officer Williams looked from Helen's face to her badge. His face turned pale as he realized his mistake. "There's been a misunderstanding," he stammered. "A misunderstanding?" Helen's voice was cold. "You've handcuffed a 10-year-old girl who was running an errand for her mother. I want those cuffs off my daughter now." The crowd had gone quiet, watching. Someone whispered, "She's FBI." Officer Williams quickly removed the handcuffs from Lily's wrists. Lily ran to her mother, burying her face against Helen's jacket as she cried. Helen held her daughter close with one arm while still facing Officer Williams. "Your badge number and name, please. This incident will be reported." Mrs. Baker pushed through the crowd and came to stand beside Helen. "I saw everything," she said. "This child did nothing wrong." Several people in the crowd nodded, holding up their phones to show they had videos. "I was just following procedure," Officer Williams said, but his voice lacked confidence now. "No," Helen replied. "This was not procedure. This was profiling, and it happened to the wrong child today." She lifted Lily's chin gently. "You're safe. Now, love, let's go home." As they walked to Helen's car, the crowd parted for them. Lily's small hand gripped her mother's tightly. She had been brave, but she was still shaking. Helen knew this was just the beginning. What had happened today would not be forgotten or brushed aside. Tomorrow would bring phone calls, reports, and demands for change. But tonight was for holding her daughter and making sure Lily knew none of this was her fault. That evening, Helen sat with Lily on their sofa, a warm blanket wrapped around them both. The house was quiet except for the ticking of the old clock. On the wall. Lily had stopped crying, but she still held on to her mother's hand tightly. You did everything right today, Helen told her daughter, gently stroking her hair. I'm so proud of how brave you were. I was scared, Lily admitted in a small voice. I kept thinking about what you always tell me. Be polite, stay calm, don't argue. Helen felt her heart break a little. No child should need such instructions, yet she had given them to Lily when she turned 8. The world wasn't fair, and Helen had tried to prepare her daughter for that unfairness. I'm going to make sure this doesn't happen again, Helen promised. Not to you or any other child. After Lily finally fell asleep in her bed, Helen went to her home office. She called her boss at the FBI explaining what had happened. Then she called Robert Jenkins, an old friend who worked as a lawyer for civil rights cases. I have videos from at least 5 people, Helen told Robert. This isn't going away. It shouldn't go away, Robert replied firmly. I'll help however I can. By morning, the videos had spread across the internet. Helen's phone rang, constantly. News vans parked on their street. Lily looked out the window at them with wide eyes. Why are all those people here, she asked. Because what happened to you was wrong, Helen explained, and people want to talk about it so it stops happening. Helen's boss gave her time off work. Take care of your daughter, he said, and let me know what the Bureau can do to help. 3 days after the incident, Police Chief Thomas asked to meet with Helen. They sat across from each other in his office, with Robert beside Helen. First, let me say how deeply sorry I am, Chief Thomas began. Officer Williams's actions were completely unacceptable. Sorry isn't enough, Helen replied calmly. My daughter is afraid to walk down our street now. What are you going to do about it? Chief Thomas looked uncomfortable. Officer Williams has been suspended. We're conducting a full investigation. And then what? Helen asked. A week of extra training? A note in his file? That's not enough. Robert opened his briefcase and took out some papers. We have prepared a list of demands, he said, sliding them across the desk. Chief Thomas read through the list, his eyebrows rising. Community Oversight Committee, new training programs, and review of all stop procedures, and this would mean major changes. Yes, Helen said simply. Major changes are exactly what we need. As they left the police station, they were met by more reporters. Helen had avoided them until now, but this time she stopped. My name is Helen Jones, she said into the microphones. 3 days ago, my 10-year-old daughter was wrongfully handcuffed by a police officer while running an errand. This happened because of the color of her skin. It must stop. Later that week, Helen received a call from a woman named Mary Wilson. You don't know me, Mary said. But my son Thomas was handcuffed last year. He was 12. They said he matched a description too. I didn't have an FBI badge. Nobody listened to me. I'm listening now, Helen told her, and I think we should meet. Helen invited Mary to their home for tea. Then she invited 3 other parents Mary knew with similar stories. They sat around Helen's dining table, sharing their children's experiences. There are so many of us, Mary said sadly, but nobody pays attention when it's just one family complaining. They're paying attention now, Helen replied, and we're stronger together. They formed a group called Parents for Justice. Within 2 weeks, 30 families had joined. They planned a peaceful march to the police station. They asked for a community meeting with officers. At home, Lily was slowly healing. She still didn't want to go to the shop alone, but she had started talking about what happened instead of going quiet whenever it was mentioned. Mom, she asked one evening as Helen worked on planning the community meeting. Do you think Officer Williams is sorry for what he did? Helen put down her pen. I don't know, love, but I do know that being sorry isn't enough. We need things to change. Lily nodded thoughtfully. Maybe I could talk at your meeting. Tell people how it felt. Helen felt a surge of pride mixed with sadness. Her daughter shouldn't have to be this brave, this grown up. But perhaps her voice was exactly what people needed to hear. If you want to speak, I'll be right beside you, Helen promised. Your story matters. The community hall was packed tight with people. Chairs had been set up in neat rows, but many stood along the walls because there wasn't enough seating. At the front of the room, a small stage held a table with microphones. Police Chief Thomas sat at one end looking uncomfortable. Helen sat at the other end with Lily beside her. Lily wore her favorite blue dress. Her hands shook a little as she looked at all the people. She had practiced her speech with her mom many times, but seeing so many faces watching her made her stomach feel funny. "You don't have to do this," Helen whispered to her. "We can still change our minds." Lily shook her head. "I want to speak." Mary Wilson, who had become Helen's close friend and the co-leader of Parents for Justice, stepped up to the first microphone. She welcomed everyone and explained why they were there. "Tonight is about listening and learning," Mary said. "Both sides need to hear each other. We're starting with the children because they need to be heard most of all." When it was Lily's turn, Helen helped her adjust the microphone. Lily took a deep breath and looked out at the crowd. She saw some children her age sitting with their parents. She saw police officers in uniform at the back of the room. She saw her teacher, Mrs. Brown, giving her an encouraging smile. "My name is Lily Jones," she began in a small voice that grew stronger as she continued. "2 weeks ago, I was going to the shop to buy milk. I was handcuffed by a police officer, even though I didn't do anything wrong." The room was completely silent as Lily described how scared she felt, how the handcuffs hurt her wrists, how people were watching her cry. "I used to want to be a police officer when I grow up," Lily said. "Now I'm not sure. I'm afraid when I see police cars on our street. I don't go to the shop by myself anymore." She looked directly at the police officers at the back of the room. "I know not all police are bad, but that day no one helped me until my mom came. That made me feel like I wasn't important enough to protect." When Lily finished speaking, the room was quiet for a moment. Then people began to clap. Some were wiping tears from their eyes. Chief Thomas looked down at his hands. 4 other children spoke after Lily. They were all different ages, but their stories were similar. Being stopped, being questioned, being afraid. When it was time for the police to respond, Chief Thomas cleared his throat. He looked tired and sad. "I want to thank the brave young people who shared their stories tonight," he said. "As police officers, our job is to protect everyone in this community. It's clear that we have failed many of you." He announced several changes that would begin immediately. New training for all officers, community members joining ride-alongs, a review board with parents involved, a special program for officers to visit schools not as authority figures but as helpers and friends. "These are just first steps," Chief Thomas admitted. "We have a long way to go to rebuild trust." As the meeting ended, a tall officer walked slowly toward Lily and Helen. Helen moved slightly in front of her daughter, protective. "Officer Williams," Helen said coolly. He looked very different out of uniform, smaller somehow. His eyes were red as if he hadn't slept well. "Ms. Jones, Lily," he said quietly. "I wanted to apologize in person. What I did was wrong. I've spent every day since thinking about it." Lily peeked out from behind her mother. "Were you fired?" she asked. "Officer?" Williams nodded. "Yes, and I should have been. I'm taking classes now about bias and community relations. I don't expect forgiveness, but I wanted you to know I'm trying to learn and change." Helen watched her daughter's face carefully. Lily studied the man who had made her so afraid. "I hope you learn a lot in your classes," Lily finally said. On the drive home, Lily was quieter than usual. Helen waited, knowing her daughter would speak when ready. "Mom," Lily finally said as they pulled into their driveway, "I think I made a difference tonight. Not just me, but all of us kids." Helen smiled at her daughter. "You absolutely did. Those police officers heard your voice. They can't unhear it now." "I'm still a bit scared," Lily admitted, "but also a bit proud." "That's how change happens," Helen told her. "It's scary and hard, but so important." Later that night, Helen checked on Lily after she had fallen asleep. Her daughter's face was peaceful, her breathing deep and even. On her bedside table sat a notebook, where Lily had started writing down her thoughts about everything that had happened. The first page had a title in careful handwriting, How I Helped Change Things. 3 months after the community meeting, Lily stood outside Pine Street Primary School. She wore her uniform and a new butterfly hair clip. Children streamed past her into the building, laughing and talking about their summer holidays. "Ready for your first day back?" Helen asked, giving her daughter's shoulder a gentle squeeze. Lily nodded. "I think so." The summer had been busy. Helen and Mary had continued their work with Parents for Justice. They had meetings with the police, city council members, and school leaders. Lily had joined her mother at many of these meetings, sometimes speaking, sometimes just listening. The police department had changed since that day on Pine Street. Chief Thomas had kept his promises. All officers now took special training about how to talk to children. Police cars visited schools not to scare children, but to build friendships. A new community board with parents and teenagers helped make decisions about police work in their area. "Look, Mum," Lily pointed across the playground. A police car had parked by the school gates. A woman officer stepped out carrying boxes. "That's Officer Taylor," Lily said. "She's nice. She's starting the Safety Helpers Club today." The Safety Helpers Club was Lily's idea. Officer Taylor would teach children how to stay safe, but also how to speak up when something wasn't right. Children would learn about their rights and how to help others. "Do you want me to walk you in?" Helen asked. Lily shook her head. "I can go by myself." She hugged her mother quickly, then walked toward the school doors. Helen watched her go, feeling proud of her daughter's courage. The path hadn't been easy. There were still hard days when Lily felt afraid or angry about what had happened. But there were good days, too, when she saw how her story was helping make real changes. After school, Lily came home excited. 20 kids joined the Safety Helpers Club, she told her mother. And guess what? Officer Taylor said I can be a group leader because it was my idea. That evening, while Helen made dinner, the doorbell rang. It was Mary with a package. "It came," Mary said, smiling widely. "Hot off the press." Inside the package were copies of a children's book titled Brave Like Lily. The cover showed a drawing of a girl who looked like Lily, standing tall with her head held high. Helen and Mary had worked with a local writer to create the book. It told Lily's story in a way young children could understand, teaching them about fairness and speaking up when things are wrong. "These are going to all the schools in our city," Mary explained, "and the police academy is using them in their training too." Lily ran her fingers over the cover. "It looks just like me," she whispered. "Because it is you, love," Helen said. "Your courage is going to help lots of other children." The next day, a letter arrived in the post. Helen opened it at the kitchen table while Lily ate breakfast. "It's from the mayor," Helen said with surprise. "She wants to give you an award at the city youth celebration next month for outstanding contribution to community improvements." Lily looked confused. "Me? But I didn't do anything special. I just told what happened." "Sometimes telling your truth is the bravest thing you can do," Helen explained. "You didn't just tell your story once and stop there. You kept speaking up. You helped make the Safety Helpers Club. You gave ideas at the meetings." "Will there be other kids at the celebration?" Lily asked. "Yes, lots of them. Children from all the schools who have done good things for our community." Lily smiled. "Then I'll go. But can we invite Officer Taylor, too? And Chief Thomas?" "Of course," Helen said, proud of her daughter's generous spirit. That weekend, Lily and Helen went to the corner shop together. They had been going together ever since the incident, but today, Lily stopped outside the door. "I think I want to try going in by myself," she said. "You can wait here." Helen nodded, trying not to show how nervous this made her. "I'll be right here." Lily walked into the shop alone. Mr. Parker, the shopkeeper, greeted her warmly. "Hello. There, Lily. Nice to see you today." She picked out a carton of milk and paid for it carefully. When she came back outside, Helen was still waiting, just as promised. "I did it," Lily said, her smile bright and real. "You certainly did," Helen agreed. As they walked home together, a police car drove slowly down the street. The officer inside waved at them. Lily waved back without hesitation. "Mum," she said thoughtfully as they turned onto their street, "I think I might still want to be a police officer when I grow up, but a different kind. The kind that makes things better, not worse." Helen smiled down at her daughter. "I think you'd be brilliant at that." 1 year had passed since the day Lily was handcuffed on Pine Street. The leaves were turning golden on the trees again, and a cool breeze blew through the town. So much had changed in that year. Today was a special day. Lily stood on the steps of the town hall wearing a smart blue dress. She was no longer the frightened girl who had cried in handcuffs. Now she was 11, taller, and her eyes held a confidence that hadn't been there before. Helen stood nearby, watching her daughter with pride. She wore her FBI badge pinned to her jacket, not to show her power, but as a reminder of how that badge had helped start this journey. "Are you nervous?" Helen asked, fixing one of Lily's hair ribbons. "A little," Lily admitted, "but the good kind of nervous. Like butterflies, not like being scared." People were gathering in the town square for the opening of the new youth and police friendship center. The bright building across from the town hall had once been an empty shop. Now it had colorful windows and a sign with hands joined together. The center had been Lily's idea. A place where young people and police could meet, not when things were wrong, but to get to know each other, to play games, share stories, and learn together. Chief Thomas walked up to them, smiling. "Big day, Lily. How are you feeling?" "Happy," Lily said. "Is Officer Taylor coming?" "She's already inside setting up the art room," he replied. Officer Taylor had become Lily's friend over the past year. She had left patrol duty to become the first Youth Connection officer, working full-time at schools and the new center, the Chi. Mayor stepped up to the microphone set up on the town hall steps. She welcomed everyone and spoke about the changes in their town over the past year. "Sometimes it takes a difficult moment to show us what needs to change," the mayor said, "and sometimes it takes a brave child to show adults the way forward." When it was Lily's turn to speak, she took a deep breath and looked out at the crowd. She saw familiar faces, Mary Wilson and the other parents from their group, her classmates, teachers and many police officers, some in uniform and some not. "A year ago I was stopped by a police officer when I was just going to the shop," Lily began. "That day was scary, but what happened after was amazing. People listened. People cared. People changed." She explained how the center would work, how children could come after school to do homework, play sports, or make art, how police officers would volunteer their time to teach and learn from the kids. "The best part is the story corner," Lily said excitedly. "That's where we can share our stories and listen to each other, because when we really listen, that's when things start to get better." After the speeches, Lily cut the ribbon across the center's door. Everyone cheered as the doors opened for the first time. Inside, the walls were painted with bright colors and decorated with children's artwork. There were game tables, books, computers, and comfortable chairs. In the story corner, a special chair stood in the center, a colorful wooden chair painted with words like truth, courage, and change. Beside it was a shelf with many copies of Brave Like Lily and other books about children making a difference. As people explored the center, a tall man in a suit approached Helen and Lily. "It you." Took Lily a moment to recognize him without his police uniform. "Mr. Williams?" she said quietly. The former officer nodded. "Thank you for allowing me to come today. I wasn't sure if I would be welcome." Since losing his job, Williams had gone back to school to study social work. He now worked with troubled teenagers in the next town over. "Everyone is welcome here," Lily said. "That's the whole point." Later that afternoon, when most people had left, Lily sat in the special chair in the story corner. A small group of children from her school gathered around her. "Can you tell us what happened?" a little boy asked. "The real story, not just the book version?" Lily nodded. She told them everything, not leaving out the scary parts, but also sharing how it felt to speak up and be heard. "The most important thing I learned," she finished, "is that one voice can make a difference, even a kid's voice." As Lily walked home with her mother that evening, the streetlights were just coming on. A police car drove past and the officer inside waved cheerfully. Lily waved back without thinking twice. "Do you know what today is?" Helen asked, taking her daughter's hand. "It's the opening day of the center," Lily replied. "Yes, but it's also exactly 1 year since that day on Pine Street," Helen said gently. "How do you feel about that now?" Lily thought for a moment. "I'm glad it happened," she said finally. "Not the scary part, but what came after. If it hadn't happened to me, maybe things wouldn't have changed. You turned something bad into something good," Helen said. "That's a rare gift." As they reached their front gate, Lily looked back at the path they had walked. "I wonder what will change next year," she said thoughtfully. "Whatever it is," Helen replied, "I know you'll be part of making it happen."